Good.
Just says in progress. Cool. Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, man. Keston, man, I appreciate you making time this morning.
Yeah, most definitely. No problem. This is
You
good.
know, there's a whole bunch of stuff with regards to Linchpin that I really enjoy. I'm pretty fortunate, but these member interviews have been, I wish I had more time. I'm doing one a week.
Yeah.
I'll never get through everybody in Linchpin, even do it for a decade, but I wish I could do one a day. And you got a fascinating story, but if you're listening to this audio wise, that's one thing. But if you're watching it, you probably wonder what sort of a contraption you're standing in. So what are you standing in?
So I am in my vocal booth. It's the quietest space in the house. So, I was gonna do it in the garage, but then there's laundry going on right now, and I was like, I just wanted I wanted you to be able to hear me, and the cars passing by. So my mother-in-law's here. This is the quietest space in the house.
You get a lot going on. Most people don't have a vocal booth. So what is a vocal booth?
So this is a 5x7 double walled insulated booth that allows me to do my voiceover. So normally, I'm a voice actor. So normally my microphone would be here, but I don't want to block my face today. So, but yeah, it allows the me to have the isolation from the outside world and also so I keep my sounds out. So yeah.
You're a working actor in the LA area,
Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, I
and
do. I do
you
a lot
you
of voice.
paying the bills through acting?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's been a great journey. So yeah.
I would love to learn about that a bit because I've known a couple people who have wanted to
Mm.
pay the bills through acting, and
Sure,
it seems like it has the same success rate as being an astronaut.
sure, 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 sure. No, I mean it obviously, every career has its, you know, peaks and valleys, but I moved out to LA in 2007. And I mean, I studied acting in college, and I, it's what I love to do. It's what I did in high school. It's like I kind of have that obsessive personality, and so I focused on it since middle school. Like just like
You you
what I
you
wanted.
said it when you what you wrote to me is that you love sports, they didn't love you back, so you got into the drama club. Where did you go to school?
I went to Lake Brantley High School. I went in like Altamont Springs. Um,
Where's that?
it's in general Orlando area.
Okay.
That's where I grew up, and then I went to UCF, University of Central Florida Golden Knights for
Okay.
college. But by college, I pretty much knew, like, I never made the middle school basketball team. I never made the high school basketball team. I'd try out, and even my senior year where I was like actually playing against or not my senior year, my freshman year of high school, I was playing against these varsity players to try and get better. And I was like running, I was taking basketball class, I was like really focused on making the team, and I broke my pinky like right before tryouts. So my mom was like, "You're like, what's that movie, Unbreakable, Mr.
Yes,
Glass?"
yes.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah.
like that. I would like kick a ball and fracture a foot or whatever. So it's just sort of like a mix of not making the team and injuries that I was just like, I had a cast on up to here for my pinky. And it was pretty much like, okay, my teacher was like, "Do you want to audition for this play?" And I was like, "Sure."
Oh, so a teacher brought it up. I was going to say, in the back of your mind, did you have this lifelong dream or ambition or, to get into acting or was it an exterior force like this teacher?
I think it was more like bubbling, and it was, from middle school. Like I did a little play in middle school, and it just like end of the year kind of thing for the parents. And I think we were playing these Italian Americans coming over, and the Statue of Liberty was there, and we were doing these terrible accents, and
Awesome.
something just the audience was laughing, and I don't know, it's something in that just caught, and it was bubbling underneath freshman year of high school, and something, I don't know, when she mentioned, "Hey, do you want to audition for this play?" I was like, I really wanted to play basketball, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to try out. And so then, yeah, the rest is history, really. I mean,
Does attending, being part of the drama, because maybe there's somebody watching or listening who's interested to go down the same road as you, or they have a child or a friend who wants to. Does attending high school being part of the drama club, does it actually prepare you to be an actor, or is it something different?
So yeah, so I would say that yes, the training that I got, we were very lucky. Um, you talk about it being like an astronaut. From my high school, from my years that I was there are at least five working actors. Like
Really?
my buddy Josh Segura, Kim Shaw, and this is not like we're working at a high level. You know what I mean? Like the people that I've
Well,
worked
we
with,
did
James
that too.
Cameron, Martin Scorsese, like we're working at a very high level. And this is all the same years, and something was in the water. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of like when people talk about like Orlando boy bands in the 90s. Something was in the water. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was our drama teacher. She really inspired us. And like the training that we got in high school was very strong. And so then I think it made a lot of us want to go on and do other things um, in that world. I mean, some people became like one of my friends, she's an AD and she was the stage manager. So what was cool about our school is we took on everything. So
Hmm.
we did props, we did costumes, we the kids did everything. And so yeah, it wasn't an arts high school. We just I don't know. We just there was something in the water, I guess.
And then is it the next level at the college level?
Yeah, so then in college, like I majored in it just because you don't have to. Obviously, there are people who find acting through other careers, but school allows you that safe space to train and learn before you go. Like I wouldn't have wanted to just come to LA after high school. I think that would have been a
Hmm.
very scary thing, and I wouldn't have had my base, my theater training, like theater is the base of like I feel like all of us that are still doing film and TV today, we started in theater and that's why we have longevity in our careers. Yeah.
And so you know that you or this passion that's bubbled, this maybe starts to bubble more, and obviously must have bubbled to a point where you're like, I'm gonna uproot and
Yeah.
do the thing. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do the thing that
Yeah.
is, move to LA
Yeah.
and make this happen, which I would think sounds overwhelming and crazy and scary. And you're like this teeny little drop into a massive ocean of people trying to do the same darn thing. You just show up with your bags, like, well, I'm here.
Yeah. 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 100%.
What is it like?
100%. I mean, yeah, there was definitely that fear. There was definitely that trepidation. I remember I was after school after in a play. So funny enough, in a play I was playing Laertes in Hamlet. I tore my Achilles. Like I was just always injured, and
That's amazing.
I tore my Achilles. And so this is 6 months before I moved to LA, and I'm like, Mom, I don't know if I should go. And she's like, if you don't go, you will never go. And I was like, so she was honestly instrumental in that because she was right. Like
That's pretty
I was
awesome.
like, I wanted to save up money for a couple years and she was just like, just save up what you can in the next 6 months and go. So I finished school, graduated in May, and I moved to LA the next January 1st. Like took a road trip out and we moved. It was helpful to have friends here. It was helpful to have like people here who had already done it so they could say, hey, live here, don't live there. All those
Mhm.
things. So, I just reached out to my community and my network, other actors who from my school or people that had done it and they were really instrumental in those beginning years because you're just trying to live, you're just trying to find a job. I was a valet for a very long time just trying to find work, and I was able to kind of hit the ground running in my chosen career because one of the girls in my class who was a friend, she had a manager who was looking for people, and so she was like, hey, meet with my manager. And so I started getting auditions pretty early. And really out here, it's about opportunity. If you can get those opportunities and you're good and you're ready for those opportunities, you'll get in the door. And so I booked my first
Interesting.
recurring role in 4 months. But it wasn't, that
Wow.
was, which is very obviously very rare and very, but so it's just like I was ready for the opportunity,
Yes.
that, and then
You'd done the preparation.
exactly. I'd been through 4 years of my whole life for 4 years in college was wake up, go to class, like eat, sleep, breathe, acting. Like it was that's what it was. It was like just working in different styles, commedia dell'arte and Shakespeare and things that I think I don't use, but they're in there.
Do you need an agent to get an audition?
Yes. Yeah, out here in LA, you do. To get in the real rooms, the real like movies and television, you do need an agent. Without an agent, you're sort of like you're just looking at, more like student films or things like that. Or now you can kind of reach out to the casting directors on social media and things like that. But before that wasn't really a good option. You definitely need an agent.
And you just mentioned all those different genres, right?
Yeah,
From
yeah.
comedy to whatever. Do you have a preferred one?
Um, to be honest, like right now, I really just work TV and film. I don't do a lot of the Shakespeare styles and, commedia dell'arte and things like that anymore. But like when I love Shakespeare. I just it's just like the words. And yeah, I feel like a lot of the shows that people watch now, Breaking Bad, Succession, like I feel like those writers are fans of just good drama and good, you know.
Succession was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I still gotta finish that one, but yeah, like it's it's just fun. I mean, for me, drama is probably my favorite. Um, and comedy too. I've gotten to do some comedy, but
But I have to assume in the early days, you're like, as long as there's a job and they say yes, I'll do it.
100%. I mean,
Right?
I mean,
Let's establish some credibility and get some reps in.
100%. That's it. You're just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks, and you're taking the jobs that you can. I mean, now I've been on a series, like I can kind of, like, I don't want to say money isn't a thing, because it is. It's obviously a thing, but it's not a thing that I worry about on a day to day. Actually don't worry about it at all. I Between voiceover and on camera, it's funny, like the last 2 years have been really difficult for my ego, because when I found Linchpin, I was coming off a show where you're a series regular. That's your show. You're going to work this day and this day. You're in the episode. And that was 2022, and then we went on the whole industry went on a strike in 2023.
Mm,
So really nobody worked for a year. So your whole, like, what you do for a living, you couldn't really do on camera. So
hmm.
voiceover filled in those gaps, but it's been great to have Linchpin to, like, I know what I'm doing. Like I know if it's a Monday,
Some
Tuesday, or
structure.
Wednesday, I know that that's the first thing that I'm doing, and then Thursday I'm gonna have a break, and then so that's been really nice to have that in these last 2 years where our industry has been kind of shut down. Even in this last year where there hasn't been a strike, it's just been slow. It's just been slow for everyone, not just slow for, you know, either you're on a show or you're not. So.
Is that some area where the agent is critical? For example, like on-camera stuff is happening less, and they're like, "Hey, we get some voiceover opportunities," or does that come from your side and you're suggesting these things?
So yeah, I mean, what's nice is in our industry, the usually on camera they kind of stick to their lanes. So you have
Mm,
different agents for each. Sometimes there's some carryover with, like, on camera and commercial, but more than likely, more often than not, there's you have an agent for on camera, you have an agent for animation, you have an agent, you know what I mean? So there's different agents for voiceover than there are on camera. And I don't really do on camera commercials anymore, but when I did, I had an agent for that.
Is there, I mean, obviously the voiceover stuff is you're not on camera, your voice is there for audio. Is there a huge difference? I guess since you're not being seen, I don't know if I'm trying to say is there less preparation, or do you have to be even more um, uh, on point because since you're not there visually, you really have to make sure your voice is coming through. Where if you're on camera, you have to get your voice and your hands and your eyes and your body language. Like, are there some differences like that?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I always say that, like, voiceover is just so fun because you can play anything you can imagine.
Oh,
Like
yeah, yeah.
anything in the world. Whereas on camera, it's really what you look like and what they can make you look like, right? If there's
Mm,
special effects or whatever, or in the case of like Avatar, which I was a part of, like all the motion capture stuff, like that's voiceover is so fun because you just get to like delve into, oh, hey, can you play this, grandma? Can you play this, whatever? Can you play this 10-year-old? Auditioned for like a kid the other day. Like you're playing all these different things, and really any accent and anything that you can think of or that the writers can think of, you're gonna have an opportunity to do. So that's really fun. That I would say as in when it comes to performance, I always think about it like I always go back to theater. So if you've ever been to a big theater, like in order to be seen when the people are like, when it's like a 1,000-seat theater, you got to be pretty big for the people in the
mm,
back. So
hmm.
I kind of equate that to in film, that's the long shot, where, like in order to see the gesture where I'm like kind of waving here, I might wave here. You know what I mean? It's just
Sure.
a long shot. But then the close up, I kind of compare that to a black box theater where it's like just a small, intimate comedy club theater, very small, like the seats are right here, and maybe there's only 50 to 100 seats. So to me, voiceover tends to be closer to that performance, that very intimate performance, because the microphone, the pickup pattern is right here, just like a close up.
Hmm.
And so nobody wants you like screaming in their ear. But also too, like it depends on style. It depends on there's animation now. Like I was a part of this show Arcane. It's it's not for kids. It is on
Oh,
Netflix.
okay.
It is not for kids. A lot of this animation that I'm doing is it might as well be on camera. It's just a microphone. And they're gonna
Mm,
animate it. And then some of the stuff, you do something on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon, and it might be a little broader, or they might say, hey, like, can you pick that up? Like, hey, this is for kids, so let's like kind of lift it a little bit. And I have a kid, so I'm like, oh, well, it depends, like
right, right, right.
stay out of that register. I'm like, my kid likes it, but whatever.
And how, yeah, I guess maybe whether it's voice acting or on camera, let's say you pick up a role,
Yeah,
you're going
yeah,
to get, and let's say it's going to be on camera.
yeah.
What what does prepping for that look like? Like
Mhm.
for the character, for the story? I mean, do you have to sit down and like read the whole script end to end? Do you just need to like, and then is that overwhelming? And you just need to be prepped for that day of what's going on today, and I'll worry about tomorrow, and I have to become this person. Like, what does it actually
For me,
entail?
yeah, it's all of that. It's like I get the script. I kind of like I'll take what I just did. I was just on Chicago PD, and so I got the full script. Now, it depends on how much time you have. In TV, you often don't have a lot of time. I found
Mm.
out, let's say on a Friday, I found out I booked Chicago PD. You're flying on Sunday. Okay.
Oh,
I
really?
I got the yeah, I that's when I
You're
flew.
reading on the plane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got the script on a Saturday and I was like, I had stuff going on. I got a kid, I got stuff, I got life. So
Wow.
I'm doing life, and then, on Sunday on the plane, no joke, I'm reading it. I'm like, okay, cool. This is the audition. This is a piece that I did for the audition. Okay. These are pieces that I didn't do for the audition. I'm kind of coming up with the full arc of the character. Like, okay, this is where the character fits in. When you're a guest star, you are there to service the series regulars. You're there to service the story. So it's completely different than when you have an arc as a series regular,
Mm.
because you know your arc from the beginning. You're talking to the showrunner, you're like, "Hey, this is what your arc's going to be for the season." When you're a guest star, you're there to service. So in this particular episode, without giving anything away, I was there to just be a good friend to one of the series regulars and
Gotcha.
to
Okay.
watch the fallout of that. So I kind of place my arc in that, in the in any of the confrontations that we have, like remembering, okay, cool, we've known each other since, and I build those stories with the script that they give me. So I'm like, okay, if I'm there to be a good friend, I feel like we've been friends for a really long time. I use my dramatic imagination to come up with things that are not on the page. And then as far
Hmm.
as character,
You're kind of building a world to support what you're doing.
exactly. And I let the script inform me, I let the script inform me. So this guy in particular was like, he'd been He'd been through the system and had, was rehabilitated and was now on the outside and building businesses. And so I was like, okay, but he comes from this world. So okay, it's Chicago. Okay, like where did he live in Chicago? So you can just pull the thread and just keep going. It's, I
And
mean,
then like on the
really.
plane, you're like, okay, what's a Chicago accent?
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, it's play, luckily, I mean, I do, I've done Chicago P or Fire before, so I kind of felt like I knew who he was when I got
Mm.
the audition. So it helps to have kind of a shorthand with the style of the show, you know? Like
Is it a combination of fun and stressful?
I would
Or
say,
is it
yeah, I got to remind myself like, hey, we're playing. We're at the end of the day, we're playing these roles like, we have in Linchpin, there's real people that do these jobs that like I mean, honestly, like that would be my dream role is to play like, be a SEAL or and so there are real people like you who have done this thing and we're playing at it and it's fun and hopefully we get the audience to believe that we believe and they're there with
Mm,
us and that's our job. Our job is
take
to
them on
help.
a journey?
Exactly. Take people on a journey and, help them feel something, help them move through something and keep it pushing. So, yeah,
Is it
it's
is it
fun.
one of those deals where I have to assume like if I was on a movie set and there's so many people and everyone's got their marks and their lines and the lights, like it would be so overwhelming and so many moving parts, but that's probably also what you feel like as the new guy on a football team, like, or the new guy, whatever, like it's moving so fast and the more reps you get, things slow down and you get to act, you get to see what's happening, you understand it. Is that also over the course of your career as an actor?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. At first it feels so fast and you feel out of your element. My first couple jobs, I definitely was like, wouldn't say learning on the job, but like because I booked so early in my journey out here, all I had to lean back on was the fact that I've done numerous plays before that in college and high school. So that was
Mm,
super helpful. And I find that the more prepared you are, like the more it slows down because you can only
sure, right.
control what you can control, right? Like I can only control the play between me and the other actors. Okay, you want me to move over here? Like there was a scene on my show In the Dark where I was very prepared, but like they had me doing so like in the scene, I'm supposed to take take this woman who's in a suitcase, pick her up, put her in a car. Like I was using all my CrossFit everything. Pick her up from the floor, like pick her up like this. She's dead weight. Carry her to the car while I'm saying all these lines. Like come back, put the thing in the car, close the thing. So the more prepared you are, the less the movement portion of it actually like you could just do it. You're just like, all right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the more prepared you are, the more it slows down, the more fun you have. Like when I'm not prepared, then I'm worried about
Oh,
the outcome.
sure.
But when I'm prepared, I'm sure it's like anything. You're just like, I got this. All I can do now is just play.
Do you have an astonishing memory, or like how much does it take you to beat those things into your head that when the lights click on, you're like, I got this rock solid?
It depends, sometimes I would say I have a pretty good memory. I mean, in theater you get weeks. I mean, it's so luxurious. It's so no, I mean it really is. Even a week or 2 weeks is like a luxury. In film and TV, you like I said, like I found out I booked on Friday and they they apologize. Actually, they came and apologized to me because they were like, normally we don't do this to the guest star where we put all of their big scenes, four of like monologues, the first day of filming. We don't
Oh
usually
man,
do this to people. We usually like, you know,
that's cool that they acknowledge that.
yeah, it was cool. It was cool. But I mean, they were like, when did you get this? Because I had it down cold, but like that took time. That took me like on Sunday on the plane and on Monday, because Monday I fit. I put on, I went in and got my wardrobe fitting. they had fake tattoos and things that they wanted to do for me, so they did that on Monday, and I was there all day on Monday. So it was like Sunday and Monday night at the hotel, you know. So yeah,
Interesting. And good on you, man. I mean, because like you said, there's talent, there's hard work, there's preparation, there's opportunity, there's luck. There, like in all of these things, there's magical mixture,
yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah.
get people to where they are. But I would tend to think if I was in one of those roles of, being on the production side of the house, and we get this guest star in, and we know they were kind of doing him a disservice. We're kind of throwing him into the deep end of the pool. This isn't normally how we do business with these four big scenes and one thing. And the guy shows up locked on and prepared.
Mm.
I would think that that's so good for everyone involved. And then I would think that hopefully your name resonates in their head as to like, you never know. Down the road, someone's like, so, you know what? Hey, we had this guy come on.
Yeah,
He was wired tight, man. Like walked in, did his thing, and we put him in the deep end of the pool and he swam.
100%. I mean, I when you anytime you go in for like my buddy just he did a pilot, and when he was doing the pilot, those creators came over and and they were just like, hey, just so you know, we asked your last job how you were. And it's just like anything. It's just like
Yeah.
anything. Like you want to know how were they on set? Were they cool? Were they
Mm.
prepared? So yeah, I mean like I would hope that
Because time is money.
mm-hmm, 100%. And you have 100 crew. The thing is, too, in Chicago, you know, I don't have weather here in LA that's difficult, but like in Chicago, it's 15 degrees and the crew is outside. The crew is not
Mm.
indoors. If you're on a location, let's say like we were at a house for most of those scenes, a house in Chicago, hundreds of crew member can't fit in this tiny house.
Right.
So the crew that can fit inside is nice and warm, and they have little heaters outside, literally like you would find, that they can roll around on wheels, but it's like, at a restaurant, but like on a dolly, and they roll it over and they turn it on. It's nice and hot, but like, come on, it's outside and it's 15 degrees. Like the crew is waiting, and also they have a day to make. So we shoot
Mm.
episodes typically take 8 days, and so we can't spend all day on your scene. We just can't.
Right, right.
Literally can't. The time. So
Train's moving, man.
exactly, exactly. So they remember that when actors can't or refuse to put in the work to do it. They just
I,
do because time
I
is
bet
money.
there's all those little things too, right? Where the from the highest to the lowest person on the crew, like, if there's everyone probably knows who the director is or whatnot, and they, treat that person with, whatever, because they might get the next job. But like I bet they also hopefully notice like how does this person treat the person way down the food chain that they don't, I hate to say that they don't have to treat well because that's not the phrase I'm looking for, but it'd be easy for you to act like you don't see them, but you do, and you're kind and you're courteous, like, and then like, yeah, we want to work with this guy again.
Yeah, yeah. I really learned from my last couple shows. Um, I like most people recognize me from In the Dark. Perry, the number one on that show, was just she's just such a grounded person and such a good person. She would go up to the background people, and background are traditionally just treated terribly. Like I know
Mm.
I've been on sets before where I wasn't background, but like you're going to get some food, and the person who, the crafty person, craft services is what they call it, is saying, "Hey, are you background, buddy?" It's like, well, what if I was? Like,
Oh,
who
wow.
who cares? Can I not have this bagel because I am background? And so they'll say, "Well, this is not for background. Background food's over there." And it's like water and some bananas. Like it and
Different stratas of people.
it's so stupid. It's so dumb.
Interesting.
That will never happen on any of my there will never be craft services tables if when I'm able to like sit, be a producer
Right,
on something.
right.
Never, because I do think that like we need everybody. We need
Oh,
every
dude,
single person.
sounds like a team effort.
Yes, 100%. You need every single person. So doesn't matter if their name's on the call sheet or not. Like you need them. So why not treat everybody with love and respect? And it's yeah. But
What goes
there are
around
egos,
comes around,
as you
man.
can
I
imagine.
mean, one way, shape, or form. you know, it can be easy to romanticize
Sure,
the life in film
sure,
and the stars, and being in movies, and a lot of people have that in their head.
sure.
But like you said, what's the other side? Because you're a dad,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dad to a little girl. I mean, I've got two boys and a girl as well. Girl dads unite, and you've got a wife as well. And like you said, you've got family. And hey, Dad, we're gonna do something this weekend, and oh, cool, it's gonna be great. We're gonna have a blast. Oh, guess what? Daddy's not gonna be
Right,
here. I'm
right.
gonna take off. Like, what is your occupation like with a family?
At its busiest, it's very difficult. It's either well, so now we're like my daughter's Canadian because of a show. So
That's
so to
amazing.
put that in perspective, my wife was 7 months pregnant, and I was like, okay, hun, do we stay here with our OB or do we go to Toronto and you come with me and we change doctors at 7 months, have a child?
Amazing.
And she was like, I'm coming. So she was a trooper. I mean, it's all really, you can't do it without, everyone's like, oh, I did it. You really can't do it without your spouse, your person, your help or something. So yeah, we changed doctors. We went to Toronto. We did the whole thing, driving to appointments and the whole thing in a city and in a country that we didn't know. And we had our kid and we paid all out
Right.
of pocket for it. I mean, it was crazy because you're not a citizen. So they do not give you health care because you are not a
Hmm.
citizen. She's a citizen.
Hmm.
Now that once she's born, she gets health care, but you are not. So we got reimbursed back in the States, but it still was like, okay, you know.
Dude, making it
Um,
happen.
yeah, but now that she's in school, it just looks like we're praying that the next show is here. And if it's not, I've seen ways that it can work. One of the actors on my last show, he just put aside a chunk of change and was like, "This is my flight home for the next 4 weekends." And so he'd be
Gotcha.
like, I'd fly home. He'd try to get to the volleyball games. I remember his daughters were in volleyball, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna make this volleyball game. I'm not gonna make that one." You're just trying to like see your family as much as possible. If they have breaks, you're bringing them out with you. Um, but now that she's in school, she's in kindergarten, so we're really figuring it out right now. Um,
Mm,
yeah, we talked to the school and like, hey, can she bring a packet? You know, because this film that I just auditioned for, it shoots like all over the world. Can she bring a packet? Because I
right,
really want
right.
to do this film. My wife also wants to travel to these places that we'd be going to, let's be honest. And so, we got to talk to the principal and figure it out. But it's a science academy and probably not. So it'll probably
Mm,
look like me flying back every chance I get or bringing them out. Um, I mean, that's the hardest thing with having a family is like figuring out the how to be together, and that's why at the top, Brad Pitt's and they don't take movies until summer or whenever they can with the kids. Oh, let's go
mm,
all go to Italy. Let's all go to
right,
France.
right, right.
It's a different level than me auditioning for something, booking and saying, "Hey, this shoots in Morocco."
Right,
it's
gotcha.
completely different. But I mean, other than that, I think really the only other downside that people complain about is the hours. But you could be 17. I've been on set for 17, 18 hours. Like it's not unheard of. Long, long days. Um, but I don't complain. Like when I was in Chicago and like 5 a.m. pickup time. Okay, so what? Like, all right, well, then I got to the gym at 3. You know what I mean? Because it's only a short amount of time, especially since I'm a guest star. But as a series regular, so Monday starts out at like crew call will be early, but by Friday we're doing what we call a Fraturday. So it gets later and later as the week goes
Mm,
on. And Saturday or Friday's call time might be noon, whereas Monday's call time was like 5 or 6 a.m.
right.
Now we're going into 3 and 4 a.m. on a Saturday. So
Uh-huh.
those hours can be difficult, especially if you're the number one on a show and you're working every day. That could be difficult to go.
Especially because you can't. doesn't matter. Like the audience doesn't know what time you got there and how long. You got to still be on and have presence and
Yep.
attitude, and it
Yep.
doesn't matter if it's hour 17.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, no, that's that. Those are the difficult things, but I mean, it's mostly good. It's mostly good. It's work, but it's not digging ditches. You know what I mean? Like
Sure, no,
we're,
understood, understood
we're having
100%.
fun. You know,
Well, uh, one more question about this before we talk about, we'll chat about fitness briefly. Fitness is boring. Yeah. When you did bring your wife up to, did you say Toronto?
Toronto. Yeah, yeah.
Is it hotel living? Is it Airbnb? Because since you're there for an extended stay, what does that look like?
So with series regulars, they sort of expect you to live there. So just we season one, I have an uncle who lives in Toronto, and we were pretty broke. I mean, this is my first show. This is my first real series regular. So, my first real like ongoing paycheck. And so I was like, hey, my uncle lives there and he's got a basement apartment. And I convinced my wife I would season two. She's like, we are not living there. And then
You're not going
yeah,
back to the basement.
looking back, it probably, I mean, it's one of those basement ones with windows, but still
Yeah.
looking back, because he also lived like an hour away from Toronto, so there was like sort of nothing to do. Uh,
Mm,
you know what I mean? It's like kind of like, all right, so you're home and there's nothing to do. So season two and beyond, we lived like right in the middle of everything, Trinity Bell Woods, where there's like walkable coffee shops.
nice.
Your family needs that. They need to be able to go do things and have a life when you're working. And so my daughter attended a little preschool there in the park, and it was great. And pandemic was hard, but nothing to really complain about. It's just winter, like everybody who
Right.
experiences winter that, just just pandemic in Toronto, they had the longest lockdown in the world. And so you couldn't go from
Mm,
province to province without quarantining. You had to quarantine for
right. Oh my
15
goodness.
days. So yeah, being in winter, not being able to go anywhere, we'd have our little dates in the park, freezing, just like playing
Right.
cards. Like that's what we do, to get, we'd have the babysitter watch our kid and be like playing cards in the park. So I mean, you make it work,
Making it happen.
and you remember those memories. Like I'll have those memories forever. Like so, I don't know.
100%, man. Well, yeah, I guess so I don't take up your entire morning here. You had yourself a fitness journey from playing sports to,
Mm.
trying to work out a little bit, whether you liked it or not, to you said some P90X and some at-home stuff, and
Yeah.
even bumped into Becca Voice Gym, which
Yes.
is so cool. And
Hell yeah.
then the pandemic hits and maybe a bit lost, tried some other online program, which, no need to mention any names, but didn't like it, left you feeling beat up.
Yeah.
What in the world brought you to Linchpin?
I mean that like, you said it. I had done training yard and I loved it and my wife loved it. But I mean, it's just the pandemic and I didn't want to go back to we were doing Zoom workouts and I think now if I had had the idea in my head of like or if I had the ability with the limited equipment option, that would have been
Mhm.
fantastic back then. But you had to like back, no everybody was figuring it out. So I think we were doing these Zoom workouts at different times and I hate Zoom. I mean, like we're doing it for this, but
Right,
like
I get it, I get
for a
it.
workout, I'm like, what are we doing? For time, like and I didn't have any of the stuff. I was living in an apartment. So as soon as I
Mhm.
bought a house in 2020, like I was like, oh, I could, I could do this. Like we would save $400 a month and I could build this gym. And, yeah, I read it. I found
Mm,
Reddit post that was like, hey, this programming is really well thought out. Um, because the other thing, we had done other we did one other online program and it just, you know, I never thought about box step ups, for instance, that conditioning IQ that we're building.
sure.
Like, I never thought about box step ups as going below parallel, but I didn't
Mm,
understand why, if we did box step ups the day before and then we did like, let's say heavy back squat the next day, why I was totally wrecked.
sure, right.
And so I think there's thought that goes into those other workouts, but like I just we have the stuff, and I feel like a lot of times though, at least in that particular sense, that program was built for limited equipment specifically, so there was a lot of repetition of
Gotcha,
similar
gotcha,
movements. And
gotcha.
I've heard that from other people too, so I was like, okay, it's not just me.
Mhm.
I really like, you know, this week was tough. Like, what did we do? We did the lunges and
Oh, we did deads on Monday.
deads on Monday. The lunges were tough, followed by the run on the Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah.
That was tough, and then today, death by. So,
Yeah,
like,
we got some stuff coming up.
yeah, it's good. Like, I feel like even if we repeat something, you're thinking about that. You'll say like, hey, because life doesn't hand you, you know, so you may have to use your legs after you back squat the day before. You may have to go run
Sure.
and do something. So I love
Yeah.
that you think about that.
Just make it a conscious choice.
And we don't like we don't feel beat up. And so that's a beautiful thing. We're able like and now I'm not thinking about I started working out for my career. Really, to be honest, to
Hmm.
fit into, we all have the archetypes, right? And so my archetype is, Tay Diggs, Tyrese. You look at the people who are kind of look at you, look like you,
Hmm.
and who are working, and those guys are fit. So it's like, okay.
Hmm.
But now I'm really working out for longevity. I'm working out for life and to be here for my kid. So when I'm
100%, man.
70, because I see my parents now, I see, my wife's parents now, and I'm like, okay, I'll take that, and I don't want that. So, okay, you know, and so I'm seeing that movement and food and what we take in is like sort of the thing that's resonating the most with longevity for me. So,
Totally, fully agree. Well, man, every time I get to talk to somebody, whatever they do for a career, I feel like I talk most of the interview about that because it's so interesting to learn about all these different facets of the world and get a window into some of these different communities and processes and all that. And so I guess instead of giving you the typical fitness questions that I give people at the end, if somebody is interested in pursuing a similar career, do
mm,
you have some things if you look back, you're like, man, I wish I knew A and B?
mm. I think I think the main thing that I wish I knew is like, um, I think I forget who says it. So it's like this too shall pass. Like
Mm.
when I was early on in my career, and I was like, I went through a 2-year stint where I was getting close. Like, oh, you're put on a veil, they call it, where they avail 5 actors, but they only hire one. And so, like, if you're availed, I was like put on a veil 16 times in
Oh,
years, but not booking anything.
oh
Just
my goodness.
the heartbreak of that. And this too shall pass. You're on a show and it's going really well, this too shall pass. So just knowing that there are peaks and valleys to it all, and just like don't take any of it too seriously. Find some freaking hobbies, have some
Hmm.
fun, make sure you keep your community close, and really, for me now, it's really all about family. Like there was I'll give you an example. There was a job that I was up for um, end of last year, and the Night Agent. It's a great series on Netflix. Season one was fantastic. Season two, I auditioned. The casting director, he brings me in. And he's like, it just didn't work out, and I'm thinking, man, like it got so close. I don't understand. Like I would love to have booked that,
Mm.
and I was feeling kind of bad, and then my wife got injured. She tore her Achilles. And
Mm.
I was like, what if I immediately thought, my God, what if I was in Italy right now filming that?
Right, right.
How terrible would I? So I don't know if that's why I didn't book it, but like I
Good perspective.
yes, it gave me perspective of like, I'm so glad I'm here. And so this too shall pass. Like if you're on a roll and you're, booking, hey, save some of that money because like that's gonna pass, and there'll be a little bit of a winter. If you're in a winter right now, there's gonna be a spring. So that's the piece that I would remind a young Keston about. Like, don't don't get too low in the winter, and not in the winter of your career, because I got pretty low at times where, just like it wasn't going my way.
Hmm.
Really close calls to like shows that are now iconic, The Good Place, and different
Mm,
things, like really close calls, and I ended up on the good place. But like in perspective, it wasn't the
hmm.
role that I want. It wasn't the role that would change my career.
Right, right.
So yeah,
Huh. I love that, man. I absolutely love that. Well, like I say all the time, I don't know how we did it, but that's why I love these interviews. Lynchman's full of really, really cool people from all around the world doing all kinds of different stuff, but just united and trying to make good decisions, good long-term health and fitness decisions. So, and you're an integral part of that
yeah.
community. So I appreciate you, sir.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you. I mean, we appreciate the program. It not just me and my wife, but I can tell the things that people share on the private Facebook group, life things,
Mm,
kids being born, you know, deaths in the family. This is more than a fitness program. And I wonder that I have a question for you. Did
mm.
you know that it was going to be beyond fitness when you started it? Like, did you know that it would be more than
No, and I don't even know if I hoped back then. I really had no sense of where it would go. I loved programming.
hmm
I loved it from a minimalist perspective.
yeah,
Like I loved the minimum dose, minimum time for the maximum return. Um, I thought that there was some nonsense out there and people not doing what worked because it wasn't flashy. Nobody wants to do 400-meter repeats on the track. Nobody wants to do that. It's not fun.
you're
You
right.
can get everyone in the world for a heavy day. You can't get anybody to show up for a track day, but it's like, I don't care. We should do it.
Right.
So I just wanted to put that stuff out, like the truth.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to see who would be attracted to the truth.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know if that's related to it, but the people who seem to be attracted to the truth and like doing the hard things, turns out there's some pretty darn cool people.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
it. But again, thanks for giving me a bit of your time today, man, and I will see you online.
Yeah. Yeah. See you out there.
All right, later.
Later.